I'm going to see if anyone appears, but I am going to start talking as well. So it's Tea Time Tuesday, and I'm hoping that I can do this a couple of times every month. We can get together and have a chit chat, and you can ask me any questions, and I can answer any questions, and we'll see how we get on. It's kind of difficult to talk about knitting without demonstrating, and I will at some point try and work out how I can photograph, film myself knitting and share it with you on the screen as well. It might be a bit of a confusion for the first few times I do it, and I do hope it's possible. But here we are on Facebook, and I'll see what I can come up with. Let me have a drink. So I have had a fun day. I could sit here and rant about my day for probably half an hour, but I won't, because I want to start talking about colour. And we are knitting this week in the knit along a two-tone tassel hat, and here is how far I've got so far. There we go. I have finished today's task, which is knitting to 10 centimeters. And to measure your 10 centimeters, you take your measure, or if you're using a ruler, and you make sure that that reaches 10 centimeters there. And if you're doing the larger size, it will be to 11 centimeters there. But you take it underneath the ruler, not over the ruler. There, it's underneath it, so it's sitting there. And then you measure, and you can see that is pretty much spot on 10 centimeters. There you go then. And that is my colour choice. You can see I have two tones of blue. Now you can see that, and we can get very complicated with how we describe colour if you like, because this is all about choosing colours from the same group. Now this is two blues, and if you want to talk about tones, then tones come in a variety. So if you look at blues, you can get turquoises, like this is a tealy kind of tone. You can get more indigo, purpley blues, and that then means that I've just described 3 different tones of blue, and within that I've got 2 shades of the tone teal here. Basically, that one's just got a lot more white in it, or it's been watered down. If you think about dyes, when you're dyeing and putting colour into yarn. There you go then. So we're talking shades of the same tone, and that works really well. It's a great way of hacking your way around choosing colour. We have 2 tones in this, no we don't. We have 2 shades of one tone. There you go. And what you could have done is picked 2 tones instead. Now, they would come from where you decide to choose them around the colour wheel. So how do you make it easy rather than just picking out 2 colours and thinking they might go together, they might not? I used to find it difficult, and I used to actually be really scared of wearing colour because I think I'd get it wrong. But in my head, I knew it was right. I just do have this natural knack with colour. I feel quite fortunate because my sister finds it really difficult to pick out colours and choose colours to go together. But I wasn't brave enough to actually own it. So by finding out these rules, I was much more courageous and able to say, yes, I can do it. So when you're picking 2 tones from the colour wheel to go together, you can use a few rules. We've just found 1 tone and chosen 2 shades from that tone. Now if you want to go into 2 tones, let's get complicated. On the colour wheel, if you pick 2 tones that sit next to each other, and you can do that by picking out, let me think, here we have a purple and a blue. You know what purple is. You can, if you look at it more closely, you can see that it definitely is purple, but it's a purple and a blue, and they're right next to each other on the colour wheel. So that's an easy hack. And you can also say, this is an easy way to view it, that if you mix blue with yellow, you end up with green. And they sit right next to each other on the colour wheel, and they look really good together. And that is a really easy way to say, I know these colours work, and I'm more than willing to have them sitting next to each other in a knitting project. There you go then. So that is a hack. You have two colours that sit next to each other on the colour wheel. Do I have any more here? I have yellow, and I can mix that with green. Or I have yellow, and I can mix that with orange. And they are more than happy right next to each other. And it actually looks quite harmonious. You can see that in nature, can't you? Just the yellows and the oranges sitting next to each other. So what other hacks are there if you want to be brave with colour but you're not quite sure whether it works or not? Well, the other one, and I did share all these with my Instagram posts over the weekend. I've wondered whether you saw those. But the last tip that I shared on Instagram was finding a neutral, because it's an easy way to say, I've got it, I know. And actually, these two neutrals go together really brilliantly. You don't have to worry. It's a white and it's a beige. And it really does look so classic that this is a beautiful, very light mushroom colour with this creamy white. And they look great. But these are two neutrals. So if you want to be brave with your other colour, just put it with a neutral. You pick out a colour and you really like it, but you're not sure if you want to mix it, or are brave enough to mix it with another colour off of the wheel, find a neutral, and there you go. Look at that. That's gorgeous. An orange and mushroomy beige colour, and they will be beautiful in a stripy hat. For a baby especially, that's gorgeous. Okay, and then I do have another tip for you, because then what do you do if you think, okay, I've done all of those, I really know it, and I can just take it that step further. You've done two shades of the same tone. You've done next to each other on the colour wheel, and you've done your neutrals and a brave colour. Then you say, I'm going to pick two colours that are opposite each other on the colour wheel, and that is really digging it. That is really brave, but it's a really clever way to do it. What I've found here, and you've seen these two colours already, is I've picked them from the same collection of yarn. You can see that they've got the same label on them, and someone has sat in the shop, in the studio somewhere, painted maybe a few flowers on a page, maybe taken some inspiration from nature, maybe from the sea, and looked at all the pebbles around with the oranges, and those colours look so beautiful together. The whole idea of that painting was to come up with some colours, some tones that they would use in the next summer collection. And here they are as balls of yarn. And you know, if they're in the same collection, hey ho, they may well be opposites on the colour wheel, because there's blue, and then that is a really duck eggy kind of blue, and then you mix the two opposite primaries, which are red and yellow, and you end up with orange. They're opposite each other on the colour wheel, they come together, and they look absolutely fabulous, because, like I said, they're from the same manufacturer. They come from the same collection. They were meant to go together. Here we are, summer 2017, and they're great. So that would be great in another stripy hat for a baby, or maybe in stripes, or even if you want to get really fancy and do some fair owl knitting as well. There you go. They are my colour tips for today. How to choose two colours that go together. And yes, you can extend that and start choosing 3 colours and 4 colours. And if you want to get brave and start knitting this in stripes, then you could do that. You could increase the number of colours by all means. Right, I reckon I've possibly chosen a time when people aren't around. So I'm sitting here talking to myself and actually quite enjoying it and having some tea at the same time. I'm sure you will all come back and watch it another day. And I hope you found that useful, because I love using colour, and I've started using colour a lot more in my life since I really sat down and worked out what all this was about. I did used to just basically copy what I was seeing in magazines when I was choosing fashion in my teens and such like, and I would say, well, they say that it works, so I'm going to go for it. And yeah, I mean, you pick 2 colours out of the blue and really don't even think about it. You can bet your life that a fashion designer or an interior designer has put them together at some point, and no one questions them. They just say, well, they've done it, so it's fine. I will sit there and look at it and wear it, and that's perfectly that's perfectly okay. And yeah, since I used to copy everything, and a lot of what I wore was about using neutrals. I used to wear black. I don't wear black anymore, actually. I've given up on that. I actually said a few years ago, that's it. I'm not wearing black anymore. It's too easy, and it actually means I buy too many colours of black, and then I'm not adventurous enough. So I don't wear black anymore. I wear colour instead. And by working out these few hacks and working out which colours suit me within them, then I'm more than happy to just put on colours. You see, I'm wearing it's a pistachio green, and I'm wearing navy blue trousers. And in many ways, navy is an easy way of finding a neutral that isn't black as well. But all of these knitting options, all of these colours are there for you to use. So go out and be brave and use them. And I just did want to mention, I wonder if any of you have downloaded the pattern guide that goes with the hat. I tried to put it in the email this morning and something went wrong. I'm sorry if you found that your email wasn't downloading it properly, but it's here on the Facebook page, and if you look on the left-hand side, I'm confused here now because I'm looking at the screen and I'm not sure which side is which. On the left-hand side of the Facebook group page, you'll see that there's a long list of things. There's a discussion, and there's members, and videos and photos, and then there's files. So if you look at the files, I have put the pattern guide in there for you to utilize. And if you download it before the end of September, then it will be there. But sorry if it's not, you'll have to come over and buy it instead. But I will keep this video up so you can keep choosing colours. And I will say goodbye now. I'm going to finish my cup of tea, and I wanted to go and sit in the garden this afternoon and chat with you in the garden, but it is nice and warm. It's a really nice day. You can see the sunlight is just on the reflecting on the boxes in the back there. But it's quite noisy in the garden, so I am by myself today, but the neighbours aren't. So we would have been interrupted. I will hopefully be able to go in the garden and talk to you again, and hopefully be able to talk to you again with when we have better internet too. That will be a real boost to my confidence if we have better internet. I hope this is recorded okay, and I hope I will see you again soon. Bye.